Okay, welcome. My name is Alberto Montebelli, and together with Gary, I'm an author of this paper. I thank Gary, I thank the University of Gothenburg that generously allowed me to be here, financing my presence. We desire to leave space to invite and keynote speakers, so I will barely introduce an alternative perspective on economic theory. I hope my pruning goes gentle on my presentation. Okay, such perspective was born in parallel with the work of Adam Smith. In parallel, it navigated through academic environments until the time of the Congress of Vienna, 1815. At that time, it got dismissed for historical rather than intellectual reasons. Nowadays, a group of economists is trying to revive the tradition and address the pitfalls of mainstream economic theory. The blacklist could be extremely long, but let's talk about inequality and concentration of wealth. The tendential neglect of relational goods, for example, is the community of a life of some value for society, or our forests on a stable slope just at the top of our town of some importance. Not to mention the conflicts that are common nowadays. So we all know Homo economicus in the neoclassical tradition is this infinitely rational individualist. Okay, and with time, several adjustments made him look less flamboyant. So Adam Smith's work originates from a strong anthropological assumption. A Latin proverb that was translated later by Hobbes as man to man is an arrant wolf. And here we have an example of how these wolves behave in the time where probably Amazon was still not salient. It was common to see this sort of images. This is just a Black Friday as many others. I want to keep a few more seconds because now we see that in order to allow some degree of order within this herd of wolves, this pack of wolves, we rely on the invisible hand or on social contracts here represented by the act of the police officer. Let's visualize a different extreme situation that actually is how life looks for many billions of people on Earth. Imagine 100,000 individuals. They are little entrepreneurs, okay? They are hired and paid based on their performance to extract gold from a mine, in this case in Brazil. This is a famous picture by Salgado. And there is no collective power. Actually, the army is there deployed in order to avoid anything like a union to emerge. So what do you see in the interaction of these people? I see minimum talking, a lot of sweating, and then coordination of intentional behavior, intentional and unintentional, unashamed physical contact, cursing and spit and blood and blisters. But also, in some cases, somebody has problems, and there is somebody ready to pick him up and take him to the top. So not even the Romans in Roman times accepted this metaphor of the wolves. Humans have a natural drive to reciprocate and stand united. And this was the foundation, the anthropological stance taken by Genovese in the middle of the 18th century. The human to human is a natural friend. So the predators and the friendly nature in some sense, coexist. So on the basis of this reciprocating attitude that humans are supposed to have, civil economy is trying to reestablish the tradition started with Genovese. And civil economy is not a theory, not yet. It is a pluralist lab of theory and praxis. It is not developed by the revolutionaries. They take markets and finance as some sort of given environment, but they want to make it civil rather than uncivil. The market is populated by persons, though, rather than by mere individuals. And the person who seek personal public happiness rather than maximize profit and power. So more details are in our papers, actually, that we will be happy to distribute. And also there's this little introductory book by Bruni and Zamagni. So why we are here? The needed ingredients belong, I believe, to the toolbox of artificial life. Simulation and analysis of complex systems, as in some way we have seen demonstrated by Claes. Now in Claes' case, the wolves and the sheep, they have this one-to-one relationship. My questions to Claes would be, okay, so where do organizations emerge? Okay, and I think there's a lot of potential in that work. Then elements of cognition, methods, or even more direct references hasn't mentioned, but in his paper he mentioned the need for affective elements as well, and also Oscar uses methods that we have already seen in the community, and then affective components that also belong to the history of artificial life. I thank you for your patience. I volunteer maybe even to skip the questions unless you have very urgent ones, because I would like to leave space to our keynote. Jeremy, please. Is there any urgent question?
Okay. No, thank you very much, Alberto.